boys?
What's up, my guy? How are you?
Good. How are you doing, man?
I'm all right. Hanging out.
I hear ya. I hear ya.
Wait a couple seconds. Let some more people join up in here before I start
Yeah,
asking you 100 questions.
for sure. Whatever works, man. I'm here
Sitting outside, I see. Good for you.
Gotta enjoy it. Gotta enjoy it while we're here.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. At any moment, it could start snowing again. So,
I know, which is why I'm out here when it's nice. You know.
all right. I ain't too worried
Is my
about how
light,
many
is
people
my
we have
lighting
in
weird
here.
here?
Nah, you're good.
Perfect.
You're good. All right. I'm gonna jump right into it. Right into the deep stuff.
Good stuff.
Um, So obviously, most of the people who are watching do know who you are, but for the people who don't, why don't you just give a quick little background check on who you are and what you've done?
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm Ty Hoglund. Grew up in Del Rapids. Went to high school at Del Rapids Public. Played for the Coyers. I went to Dakota Wesleyan for 4 years. Had a lot of fun there, and I just finished up my senior year. Got cut a little bit short due to COVID-19, but other than that, man, I've just kind of been hooping my whole life, playing a lot of sports, and just enjoyed it all. So that's where I'm at.
Well, you said the last two places you've been playing, Del Rapids, D-Dub, and obviously both places you've had phenomenal careers. And so that's what I want to get into. Let's go back to high school before we get to college. But
Okay.
you were a great player in high school, got to play for state championship. You made the state, I think, all 4 years, correct? Maybe three.
Yeah. No, we actually only played 1 year. I only played 1 year at state.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was the Region 3, Sioux Falls Christian,
That's
Madison,
true.
Del
Madison.
Rapids
Yeah, that was
trio. So
before Sweet 16 era. You're right.
yep, yep.
So you had a successful basketball career in high school. Talk about some things that you did in high school to kind of separate yourself from everyone else around you. Obviously you've had success in college, but like, what was your preparation progress?
I'm a big believer in input output. Whatever you put in is what you're gonna get out. So every night or every time that I was available, every time that I had free time, I was in the gym putting in some work, getting shots up. The biggest thing for me was just keeping a good feel for the ball. You never know when your time is gonna come. And in high school, I was just always ready. I was always ready to hoop. I was always ready for a game. I was always ready for practice. But that was the big thing for me was preparation, and I think that paid off in the long run. Whenever my name was called, I was ready to go, and I enjoyed it. It was never a struggle for me to get out of bed and go hoop a little bit. Whenever a buddy called me, I was ready to go. So, like I said earlier, it's that preparation. The preparation was key, and I think it just got me ready for any situation that I was put in.
That's for sure. So as a freshman, obviously, you played varsity, and Del Rapids has been a storied program for the longest time. So you're moving up from middle school to high school. You're a freshman. Obviously, most freshmen kind of get nervous about playing and everything. What was going through your mind through that process? I mean, you started as a freshman, right?
Yep, like the last like 15 games, 10 or
Yeah.
15 games.
So talk about that and how freshman year to sophomore, junior, senior, how your role just gradually changed within the program.
Yeah, well, my freshman year, I was playing with two All-Staters. We had Cole Langer and Bryce Cook on our team, and those guys, they were absolute dogs. And, I'm out there, little 5'8" Hoagland, weighing 135 pounds at the time. I was like, what am I getting myself into? But I don't think it really created nerves for me. It just kind of made me want to work harder, so I would fit in, and I wasn't really the oddball out of there, and I wasn't like a liability on the team. So going into my freshman year, I knew that there was maybe going to be a chance for me, so I worked my butt off. And being so little, I had to find other ways to contribute. So I worked on handling the ball a lot, worked on shooting. Even though I struggled shooting my freshman year, I didn't turn it over. And that was a big thing for Coach Versdahl. He told me, he was like, if you're going to be out there, don't turn it over and get these two of the ball. And that's what I did. I just responded to my coach, and I went for it. And then going into sophomore year, I knew my role was going to grow a little bit because we had a big graduating class. So I just kept on developing my game. And from freshman to sophomore year, I grew like 5 inches. So I was like 6'1", 6'2" my sophomore year. And right there, it kind of opened up some more doors for me. I had more opportunities on the floor just because I had a little bit of size to me. had some mismatches and stuff like that. But like I'm always going to come back to this. It was the preparation. It was the work that I put in the whole time, and I was confident. I was ready to go, and when my name was called, I was there. So it's really what it was.
Yeah, yeah. Outside, obviously, there have been some great players come out of Del Rapids. This doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that you played with in your 4 years, but who is a player that's came out of that program or that you played with from Del's that you that either you looked up to or that pushed you? Is there somebody like that kind of helped you along your journey?
Yeah, the program of Del Rapids basketball has been something that people talk about. You look forward to playing for the Quarters, especially if you're from Del's. But if there was one player that I really looked up to, I think I was in seventh grade. I was in seventh grade when those guys made the state tournament, and Tommy G was the starting point guard. But the thing about Tommy is that he connected with everybody. He connected with the younger kids, and he made you feel like you were a part of it all. And I think that kind of really gave me the confidence and the drive to work harder so I could get to where he was someday. And I honestly give a lot of credit to Thomas Garris because he had a big impact on my basketball life for sure.
Yeah, that's the guy that I think of too about someone who's had a successful career in Del Rapids. It's Thomas Garrett.
Yeah, and he did it the right way too. He worked his butt off. He didn't care who got the credit, but he was just out there to play ball, have fun, and win games for his team. So that was pretty cool.
Absolutely. So now you're a senior, and career ended in high school, and now we're looking into college. Now, obviously, you chose Dakota Wesleyan. Last weekend, I talked to a mutual friend of ours, Coach Boomsma, and we talked about recruitment tips and everything like that. And he walked through his recruitment process. But I want to know about yours because you were a high-level player out of high school and had D2s, wanting you to come. And I would imagine even USD and SDSU were probably in the conversation a little bit too, and ultimately you chose to go to Dakota Wesleyan. So talk about your recruitment process, all the schools that talked to you, and ultimately why you chose Dakota Wesleyan, other than your relationship with Coach Wilbur.
Okay, for sure, yeah. Well, so my sophomore and junior year was kind of when I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm probably going to play college basketball somewhere. And that's when some teams kind of started knocking. The first one that hit me up was Dakota State. That was my freshman year. Coach Gardner actually offered me my freshman year, so that was pretty cool. And then junior year, once we got to the state tournament, we got a little bit more exposure there. Playing in small town South Dakota, you never really know what you're going to get out of that. But I started getting hit up by USD a little bit. Coach Hansen was there at the time, Coach Austin Hansen. And he was kind of the main guy that talked to me, but nothing was ever too serious. SDSU was always kind of on the radar, but they were never too serious, and they never really hinted towards offering me or anything. So I was like, all right, dude, keep your options open, and you're going to find your best fit. And then some D2s and NAI started knocking, and that's when it kind of got serious because I knew that's probably where I was going to end up. And so D2s, I had Northern and USF. I had an in-home visit with USF, and then I went up to Northern and had an on-campus visit there. And they both went really well. They were all great programs, great dudes. Obviously, we know some of those Northern guys with Gabe King, Gus Reedy, Lincoln Jordan, all these local South Dakota dudes that went up there and played, and they loved it, and rightfully so. They got a great program up there. But I went to Dakota Wesleyan right after my golf season got over, my senior year. And Wilbur actually hit me up right once he got the Wesleyan job. He told me, he was like, I'm probably not going to come to a lot of your games, but just know that you have a spot on our team. So that right away, it made me feel welcome. And I went up there on my visit. I think it was October 19th. It was October 19th, 2015. It was right after my golf season got done. And that's really when I was going to go on all my visits and just kind of see what was best for me. So I went up there, and I loved it. I went on campus, met with professors. They were all great people. I knew a lot of the dudes on the team. Me and my buddy Kramer, Colin Kramer, we were going to go somewhere the whole time, and Wilbur was on us both. We were going to go somewhere together, And when I got there, everything just felt at home. It felt really good. Then I went to practice, and it was high level high energy, like some things you envision of when you see basketball in heaven. You know what I'm talking about?
For
Like
sure.
it was just one of those perfect things. And on our drive home, I told my mom, I was like, I don't know why I wouldn't come here. Like, what's holding me back from coming here? And I just loved it. So that's when I really I really said, I was like, yeah, I gotta be a Tiger. So I got home and I actually called Wilbur the same day of my visit, and I canceled all my other visits that were upcoming because I just felt at home right away, and I was happy with that. It was Coach Wilbur too, like you mentioned earlier with that relationship.
Coach Wilbur played for your dad, obviously.
Yep.
So you kind of had a family relationship there. Now, just being a spectator in your last 4 collegiate career years, you have a very, very close relationship with Coach Wilbur. Some that most coaches hope and pray that they have with players as they come through their program. So I want to know, from your words, from your heart, your relationship with Coach Wilbur.
The biggest thing, like he's honestly one of my best friends, and that's aside from basketball and everything. It was pretty cool that I got to play for a guy like that with a basketball mind like that. But from a basketball standpoint, that coach player relationship, the biggest thing was that I bought into him right away. I bought into all the words that he was saying right away about being a teammate, being a leader, or having good communication, all that stuff. It wasn't just running through one year and out the other. I was soaking it all in, and I was buying into what he wanted because he's the coach. He's going to be right all the time. He's the coach. He's the guy that's leading you guys. So the fact that we were on the same page, I think that really helped our success on the court.
Man, you just said something that is so big. Just the fact that you bought into what Coach Wilbur was saying to you, and I think that's great advice for any young players that are watching. That if your coach is telling you to do something, I mean, you need to do it. And
you got to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Even if you don't necessarily agree with it, they're saying that they're not trying to make you they're not trying to make you fail. They see something out on the court. They see something with the way you're playing that's going to help you, and I think that really helped me out.
The guys that are most coachable are always going to be the ones on the basketball floor.
Absolutely.
You said a word, said leadership, and like I said, just being a spectator, your leadership on the floor is second to none that I've seen in the area. I mean, you're constantly communicating to your teammates, whether that's telling them how they need to do their job better, or if it's picking them up. If a guy misses a shot, I mean, you're there to lift him up, like, hey, you're going to get the next one. Or if a guy's missing, he's screwing up a defensive assignment, like, I mean, you're giving them the tough love that they need, like, hey, you got to get your head in the game. But always constantly communicating. Why? And that's hard for players to do today. I mean, we got to beg them just to communicate on defense. Why do you take pride in any of that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anybody's going to take a lot of pride in a team's success, and you need to have a good leader out on the floor if you're going to be successful. And as a leader, the number one rule for being a good leader is you also have to be the biggest supporter. If I wasn't the biggest supporter, if I wasn't picking up my dudes whenever they made a mistake or whenever something wasn't going right, if I wasn't the voice in there picking them up, then I didn't have the right to yell at them when they did something wrong. So that was just I got to talk all the time. I had to be in their ear so they know that I'm there for them, and I know that they're going to be there for me. But having a good leader on the floor, man, it really brings the team to another level, and I think that's really what contributed to a lot of our success over the years.
Yeah. You weren't just the leader like your junior and senior year. Like, you were maintaining this level of communication when you were a freshman. And if you talk to high schoolers or even freshmen in college today, they're almost afraid to kind of speak up because, they're younger classmen. You think that actually has an effect? You think that actually matters, being a freshman, maybe telling a senior that he's not doing his job to the fullest of his abilities?
Like intimidation, that's a real thing. That's a real thing, 100%. But it's all about developing relationships prior to playing basketball. If you got good relationships with all of your dudes off the court, basketball is going to be such a small sliver of everything, and you're gonna be able to have that sort of voice, that sort of leadership and communication skills to your teammates. And it's especially if you establish those relationships right away, I think you're going to be good. You're going to be pretty well off.
Well, I mean, the key to team success obviously is having to be, you got to trust one another. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that you can give tough love to somebody older or younger than you at any point, and there's got to be a respect level there, you know.
Mm-hmm. Some mutual
If,
respect going on for sure.
exactly, you know, like when you're a freshman and Tate Martin's older than you, if he's not going hard in practice and you're letting him know, I think it tells somebody like him that he's got to respect someone like you for having, you know, having the guts to say that. And then obviously being a senior this year and maybe getting after someone like Jacob Prouty for, you know, being lazy in practice. Like there's got to be that mutual respect for everyone, who regardless of who you are within your program. We
Mm-hmm.
always have to have leaders. What is your exact definition of leadership?
Oh God. See, it's hard to pinpoint a definition. You know, there's so many different aspects of leadership, but I think the root of it all is relationships. You know, you got to establish relationships with your teammates, with your coaches, with people around you in order to gain that trust so you can hold them accountable to whatever standard you want, you know, and it's going to be on you. It's going to be on you to however good you want to be. You got to be able to hold people to a high standard. You got to hold yourself to a high standard and just hold everybody accountable so you don't slack ever and you keep on moving in the right direction day in and day out.
Yeah, that's it. Pretty well said. So now we've talked about leadership and everything. Talk about your preparation in college. Now this is more than you know, when you get to college, you're doing a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so film, you know, you got to take care of yourself, your nutrition level, your recovery, you know, your sleep patterns, your in the gym time outside of practice. So talk a little bit about that, you know, in college.
Yeah. Um, in college, if you're a collegiate athlete, you're gonna be consumed. You're gonna be consumed, and you honestly, you got to fall in love with the game, man. If you're not in love with the game, it's gonna wear down on you, and you're not gonna like it, frankly. But that's what I did. I've loved it since day one. You know, my preparation, I took care of my body for the most part. To be honest, I'm not gonna say I never had any fun in college, because I for sure did. You know, you got buddies, you got to stay social, you got to have some fun, but you also have to pick out your priorities. You know, my number one priority was school and basketball. They were hand in hand. I can't say basketball was first because then my mom went like that. But school and basketball, they ran hand in hand. Those were the first two things that I worried about every day when I woke up. And my day to day with basketball, so we practiced for about 2 hours every day. We went from 2 to 4 every day. And I always made sure my class schedule was open in the morning so I could get in the gym for like an hour. I would try and make around 200 threes all around the arc or all around the 3-point line and make some mid-rangers, just get my shot feeling good so I was ready to go in practice. And then I'd show up to practice probably about an hour before, start getting a feel for the ball, getting ready to go. And that's really how I went about my days. You know, I was ready. Like I mentioned earlier, I was ready for every practice, every workout, everything that I've ever been put in front of. I was ready for it because I had prepared for it.
You know, well, that preparation, you know, led you to be third all-time Dakota Wesleyan scoring history. So obviously, it worked out. I'd say. Any obviously outside of, you know, like kind of getting in the gym, prep stuff. Like, is there any advice that you would have for a freshman? Let's just say a freshman coming in to any college program.
Mm-hmm. Buy into the weight room. College is a physical game, man. Like when I was a freshman, one of our first couple of games, I played against Bellevue out of Nebraska, and those guys had some dogs, man. I got bullied. That was kind of my wake up call right there. And I had always worked hard. You know, I'd always worked hard in my game, worked hard in the weight room, but I didn't know that I had another level, and I had to hit another gear in the weight room. I came in, I was probably about 6'3", 170, and this year I was playing at like a 6'3", 195. Like I could still move. I was still pretty fast. I could still jump. So hitting the weight room was big time for me, man. I had my friends are sending me texts right now about this live. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think the weight room was probably the biggest thing that I had to fall in love with if I was gonna have a successful college career for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely a call. About 2 weeks ago, I had Seth Boomsma on here. We talked about the importance of lifting, and he had a lot of good stuff about for. You think high schoolers should really try? I mean, it's not common for high schoolers to be lifting, in season and everything like that. Would you recommend doing anything like that?
Did you see Martin's comment?
I did.
Martin, no, you were never in the weight room, killer. That dude was 5'11", 130, man. He can't ever say nothing.
Hey, he did get Player of the Year, though.
Yeah, he was okay. You were okay, Tate. Yeah, in high school, I did a summer acceleration program for 1 year, but I was never really too big into it because I was playing sports all year round. But if you can stay healthy and if you can keep on lifting, keep working out basketball wise, I think you should go for it for sure. Get a little head start to going into college because that was the biggest transition that I had to face.
Outside of you said you played sports year round. Outside of basketball, you weren't too bad at baseball and golf yourself either.
No, I love baseball and golf. I actually just got off the golf course right now, so I'm still keeping up with that.
I bet you did. Yeah, you were a pretty good golfer. Kind of wrapping it up. One of the biggest headlines about you and your story is obviously, and we talked about recruiting earlier, is some people say that you played down a level going NAI as opposed to D2, and that's why you had the career you had. And in today's recruiting world, it's very, very difficult for, NAI programs to compete with Division IIs because everybody wants to be underneath that NCAA logo. What would you have to say about, and advocating for NAIA basketball and, kind of being that, I mean, you were a big fish out of high school. And so actually Coach Garner's quote here at Dakota State is you would be a big fish in a little pond. And so talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, NAIA, they kind of get a little bad rep here going every once in a while. But I invite people to watch some NAIA basketball. There's some high-level dudes there that can absolutely hoop, and they would have no problem playing at a high-level D2 team either. And no, you can't have Tate joining here because I'll show him what the business is. No, but like at Dakota Wesleyan, in my last game, I was playing in front of 3,300 people. Playing in front of 3,300 people in a packed Corn Palace, and the place was absolutely rocking. And there are some colleges around here who are playing in front of 200 people a night. Like, are you kidding me? No, I went to Dakota Wesleyan because it was the best fit for me. It was the best fit for me, and I knew I was going to get the best basketball experience possible. And especially with the basketball side of things, I fit in very well. So I don't know. I think you just really got to find what's best for you. If you think you're going down a level, you're not. There's some absolute dogs at every level of basketball, and I think people are starting to realize that. I think a lot of people have really gotten exposed to some NAIA basketball, and they're like, "Oh my God, these guys can really hoop." So, I don't think obviously there's a separation between NCAA Division I and NAIA dudes, but there's still some dudes that can play some ball. You know what I mean? So that's my take on it.
Well, obviously, NAIA programs can get some of those D1s who just can't make it. But from your standpoint, you've played against a handful of D1 programs in your 4 years, almost beating UNLV 3 years ago, playing USD last year and competing with them for the entire game. I mean, and a lot of people will say, oh, that's because, UNLV and USD just weren't that good. Well, I think it would just be advocating that you guys were that good and that talented. Like, you had the dudes on the floor. Here are my last three. Why should recruits pick? I mean, this year alone, D-Dub has gotten a lot of recruits, but why should kids pick D-Dub over any school around here?
Oh God, I hope there are no other GPAC schools on here. But I don't know. I think, and if I was from Northwestern or Briarcliff or USF or Northern right now, I'd probably be saying the exact same things.
Yeah.
But I think the people at Dakota Wesleyan are great, man. Like, my teammates, they're gonna be my best friends. They're gonna be dudes that are gonna be in my wedding someday, and then you get to, on top of that all, you get to play in front of 2,800, 3,000 people a night. Like, it's the basketball experience you went to play for, you go to college for. And Dakota Wesleyan just gave me an unbelievable basketball experience, and playing in front of those crowds, meeting people in the community, you know, just having good times, living the college life. It was quite a blessing. I'm not going to lie. So.
You're a big advocate. I mean, all year long you've been promoting Dakota Wesleyan, and just to see how this season ended, it just breaks somebody's heart to see somebody like you, the career you had, get cut short, especially when you had high expectations coming into the tournament. Obviously, you know, it's probably a touchy subject, but coming off the GPAC championship, and you're probably, you know, more driven and hungry to just go out there and perform and do your best. So definitely a lot of people I know feel for athletes like you, Gabe King, among so many others whose careers were just cut short. So that was my last question about that. What future plans? What's on your docket?
I don't know, man. I'm just kind of taking her all day by day right now, finishing up school, and we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. I got a lot of good things over here, so we'll see.
That's true, but seeing Ty Hoglund without a basketball in his hand just doesn't seem normal.
It sucks, but it's going to be something we're going to have to get used to at some point.
That's true. All right, here's my last question. We're going to wrap things up. Why do you love the game of basketball?
Oh, that's a hard question. That is a really hard question. God, I don't know, man. Basketball is music. Basketball is absolute music. I love playing out in front of people. I love practicing and working on my game and putting whatever I got on display. You know, like that's why you play the game. You play it because you love it, and I love playing in front of crowds. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna hide that. I like getting energy from the crowds. I like giving energy to crowds. I love loud arenas. I love quiet arenas on the road. Like that's fun. That's what I live for, and I've loved it since day one. You know, I've worked my butt off. I've been at the gym countless hours to get there, and it's just a lot of fun. What did Boomsma say? I kind of lost track there when Boomsma said.
Coach Boomsma, Ty Hoglund, Mr. DWU, Mr. GPAC, Mr. AIA, Mr. Del Rapids. What else did I miss? I don't know.
That dude's funny. Boomsma, that's my homie. I've never hugged an assistant coach before until I played against Boomsma. That guy's my dog.
Yeah, he's a different human, that's for sure. He came on a couple of days ago. We probably could have went for 2 hours had I not told him to shut up.
I hear you.
That was a great answer. That was for sure a great answer. Hey, I thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and sharing your knowledge and info. Actually, you know, one question just popped up in the back of my mind.
Go ahead, man.
You got a good trash talking story you can share with anybody? It doesn't have to be you talking, but somebody else maybe talking at you that kind of got you going a little bit.
Oh God, I don't know. I've definitely said some words, but I don't know. I'm not much of a talker, but if somebody's talking to me, I might let them have it a little bit. I might have said a few times this year that it was a video game when my point guard was kind of going crazy. But yeah, it was good stuff.
That's funny. Hey, again, thank you so much for coming on. I think tomorrow, for anyone tuning in, I think we're going to have NBA trainer Drew Hanlon come on if you guys time. But Ty, appreciate you for giving your knowledge and information. You're definitely going to do this.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it.
Have a good time, Mike.